Hello and welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while, but I want to wish you all a very, very happy new year. I thought I'd start off by just doing a good old-fashioned FL Studio tutorial for beat making, specifically looking at drum programming to help you if you're struggling to get your good ideas into the DAW. I do have a few announcements to make later, but let's just start by getting into the tutorial. I'm using FL Studio 20, but some of these tips work in any DAW, and I'm going to be working on this little beat that I've got here. I've started by just pulling the channel rack into focus. I'm programming my beats inside a pattern, and I know that a lot of producers do this, so I'm just going to do that too. I've started with just a simple kick, snare, and a hat. Sounds like this. And I think when you're starting out, just keep it basic, use 3 or 4 really good samples and work from there. Don't try to stack up tons hoping that it'll suddenly sound good. You really got to get the core of your beat working right. The first tip that I was going to share with you is to use the tools in the software to aid your workflow. You should never feel like you're grinding against something or forcing your beat to work. Using a DAW should be quite a fluid process, and there's a few slightly hidden features in the channel rack that can really help you. So if I right click on this kick channel, for instance, you're probably well aware of the fill each 2, 4 or 8 steps. That's quite common, and that just fills the channel rack steps like this. However, if I undo that and right click on the kick again and go to advanced fill, there's actually this really cool tool here that can help you visualize the channel rack in a different way and very quickly test new ideas. Each of these orange dots represents a sample triggering, and it goes round in a circle, and there's loads of different modes here, so I'll just play through and I'll show you how quick and easy it is to come up with a really cool rhythm. I'm going to start by going down to the fill type and just going manual. This will take me back to my original pattern, and I'll show you how this works. So you can just add more steps in, just like that. Click again to take them away. So you can quickly test loads of really cool ideas. You can also rotate. After you've come up with a pattern you like, you just hit accept, and then it fills the steps into the channel rack. It's not going to suit everyone, but this way of visualizing the music theory behind the beat, working around in a circle, for me it works really well, and I find it much easier than sort of clicking in steps and then trying to remember which ones I put in so that I can remove them later. I just find it much easier. But there's a whole host of other features built into the channel rack to help. It's not just that one. We used to have to go to the piano roll and adjust the velocities like this down here in the steps, but those days are long, long gone. If you go to the top, you can just adjust the velocities right here. So say I want to add in like 2 sort of ghost snares, I can just add them in like this, but then I can pull the velocity down, and it just makes life so much quicker. To exit that mode, press that again, it's all gone. It's well worth getting familiar with all of the different features here. I'm just going to play the beat round and start adjusting some stuff. So let's adjust the velocity of some hi-hats. Sounds a lot more human. At the bottom here, as well as velocity, you can change the pitch of your hi-hats right here. Simple. So you can change them without even having to go into the piano roll. You can change the fine pitch, the panning right from here, so you can pan them left and right. Basically, there's an awful lot of stuff you can access right from the channel rack to aid your workflow. You don't have to be jumping from window to window, and it should be a really smooth, fluid, groovy process. You shouldn't feel like you're fighting the DAW just to make it work. A very quick announcement here to celebrate hitting 400,000 subscribers. I'm giving away a copy of FL Studio Producer Edition to 3 people, and I'll also give them a copy of my brand new sound bank. So all you have to do to enter is leave a comment in the comment section with a few of your beat making tips just to help someone else out. No mailing list sign up, no subscribing or following me or anything like that. Just leave a kind comment sharing some of your tips and tricks to the community, and I will pick 3 people and I'll announce it in the next video that I post. My next beat making tip I hinted at slightly earlier, but it's just to get your hands on the best samples you possibly can. There's an awful lot of pride attached to starting with bad samples and trying to mix them yourself, and I used to be like this. I would start with just basic simple samples and I would try so hard to mix them to fit, but really I was just putting myself at a disadvantage. There's so many professional beat makers and artists who curate and create and sculpt kits that just sound amazing, and when you use them in your own music, you still sound like you. It's not like you're using their melodies and chords, you're just using their kick drum samples and snares. You can still mix them further. For many years when I started making music, my beats were just really bad because I had bad samples and they weren't very inspiring to use. So however you get your samples, whether you're using Splice or whether you're buying a sample pack outright, there are a couple I recommend. I really love the Drums That Knock pack by Decap. Obviously I like my own samples and sound banks. A great thing about using these curated kits is that the kicks, snares, hi-hats, they all sort of work together in the groove. They don't stick out from each other. And when you do start using these, I would recommend keeping it simple. If you can't get a groove working with a kick, snare, a couple of hi-hats and a bass, if it's not working with that, and you feel like you have to pile loads more samples on, it's probably just that the core of the beat is not there yet. So it really is good to just get the kick, snare, bass working together first before you pile on a load of stuff. And this takes me straight on to my third point, which is learning from good music and good beats. So often in sample packs and music you hear online, there's already drum beats that sound really well and they groove so well. You can use these, but you can also deconstruct them. So I've got an example here of a drum loop that I have prepared. Now I could just use that in my beat, there's no shame in doing that. But what I like to do to learn from the experience is copy it. So learn where the beats sat, where the kick and snare and hi-hat was, so that I learn how to do it myself. Often you can just do this by ear, but if you're struggling, just zoom in on the waveform, open your pattern here, and literally just copy it. Be inspired by it, learn from it, learn how it works, and draw inspiration from it. So I can just place a kick there, and let's see where the next one is. Let's put those snares in. Nice, okay, so we've got the backbone there, so I'm just building the backbone of this beat. Cool, and there's one more at the end here. Perfect. So that's the backbone of the beat done. Now let's get those hi-hats in. So just to start off with, fill each 2 steps and see how that sounds. It's not quite there, some of these shouldn't be there. Change a couple of velocities. Let's just add some background noise and add all the other instruments back in and see how that sounds. Perfect, you know, I'm just learning from it, learning how it works, and that is music theory. Often people think music theory is just learning what chords and notes to play, but music theory is, you know, gaining a deep, intuitive understanding of timings and rhythms, and they don't just appear in your head unless you're a super genius or something. You've got to learn, you've got to study from them. And this swiftly takes me on to point 4, which is unfinished beats. So often I've said in the past, it's really good to try and finish your beats, your songs and whatnots, because lots of people end up with a hard drive filled with, 400 unfinished songs in a year. However, I do want to say having unfinished beats is completely okay, because often you've just got to try things, experiment and learn. There is such a thing as practice, and you don't have to release everything. Say you're learning how to paint. Sometimes you've just got to practice the brush strokes and the techniques, but you'd never sell that one to the gallery. You'd never frame that picture and hang it up. It's the same with your beats. Sometimes you just need to give yourself time and space to practice beat making and different techniques without the pressure of having to release it. However, for many people, having that pressure is also a good thing. You've just got to find out what works for you. But anyway, that's enough of me talking. I hope you have a great week, and I hope to see you in the next video too. Bye for now.